Hey, what's up? Dave with Brazos Valley Strength. And this week I am just now getting going with my final block heading into Raw Nationals in Vegas. So I actually don't think that I have a whole lot to say in this video. If you've been watching any of my last training vlogs, really this year, I've been doing some really good stuff. And this block is hopefully just going to be more of the same. So I'm actually going to do very little talking through this video and maybe just highlight some little areas here and there that may be a little bit distinct because of this block heading into the competition. So I'm going to highlight those areas, but for the most part, I think if you've seen any of the other videos, this is really going to be more of the same conceptually, which is exciting that I've just landed on something really good. So day one here, I actually lost about half the footage, so I don't have any of the accessories, but luckily I'm actually doing a very similar day accessory-wise later in the week, and I'll touch on that a little bit. But overall, just continuing the theme of some longer pause bench press that's really been helping me commit to sinking into my body, especially heading into competition. This is something I really try to do more of, more heavier, kind of long pause work, just to really get comfortable with all of everything that will go into actually being able to perform on the platform. But anyway, it's mostly just been more of a reflection of what I've been doing with my bench press and really having a lot of success there anyway. Now, squats have probably been one of my best lifts this year, certainly been hitting some great PRs, really making what feels like a ton of progress. But here and there, I've kind of been plagued by a bit of knee pain, and it was showing up a little bit in the last block, and I think I generally have a good understanding of what I need to do to manage it. But after last week's deload, I'm feeling a whole lot better. But this may be an area that will be a little bit more distinct between what I'm doing with my lower body and what I'm doing with my upper body. And really it comes down to what I feel like is driving, we'll say, progress on one end, but a lot of that also just comes down to what I feel like kind of beats me up a little bit more. So for my upper body work, what we'll see throughout the video is that especially on my accessory work, a lot of the rep ranges have dropped. Instead of doing on accessories, 8s through 12s, most places it's 5s and 8s in some places, especially on my pressing exercises. But the RPE is pretty low, but basically I'm able to handle a little bit more intensity on those, provided that the proximity to failure isn't incredibly high and the volume is coming down a little bit. But for my lower body, that really has not been the case so much, as that I've had to be a little bit more conservative with loading. But on the other side of that is that I'm able to handle a good bit of volume in some places, especially like belt squats. I tend to tolerate those a whole lot better, even at higher rep ranges, if I don't go close to failure overall, and just if the load is not very high, but just enough reps there tends to make me feel very connected to my squat. So I'm still following a similar protocol to what I've done pretty much the whole year, is really not pushing a ton of volume on my competition squat itself, or really just the actual low bar squatting. I'm not doing tons and tons of sets here, but trying to accumulate a good amount of reps in that squat pattern with the belt squat. So this block, we'll see a little bit of a distinction between what I'm doing with my upper body and what I'm doing with my lower body in the rep ranges, mostly is what I'm talking about. But really that just comes down to getting in the reps that I need with my lower body to really feel like my legs are underneath me, and mostly just stay healthy and not feel beat up at all. So, so far so good. Starting off the block in a pretty good position health-wise. I don't expect to have anything pop up, and I'm certainly giving myself a conservative starting point to hopefully get things moving in the right direction and stay ahead of those kind of things. So this secondary bench day is going to be one that I try to stay pretty conservative on. I'm not going to be trying to push the intensity on this day as much as I am the other two. I'm really just trying to make sure I stay in rhythm with my bench press here overall and really not get beat up. This is my mom's dog. She hasn't quite learned what the protocol is during training sessions, so getting better there, learning from the other dog. But anyway, this session will be the lightest of the week, and I'm actually keeping all of the accessories the same here. I've been doing that little machine overhead press with the Viking attachment in the landmine attached to the rack, and that has been really, really good. I think it's been something that has helped my pecs stay healthy to where I'm not doing too much of that kind of horizontal pressing volume, but really hopefully building my shoulders, building my arms overall, so that's staying the same here. But again, the rep range has dropped significantly, but staying really conservative on all of my pressing movements right now. Really, I'd say all of my competition movements will stay pretty conservative. There's plenty of time. There's about 6 weeks left heading in the competition, and all of my starting points are probably as good or better as some of the tail end weeks for the most part heading into my last competition. So I really don't feel any pressure right now to create an extra good block at this point, and more so just allow myself opportunities to express the strength that I've definitely built over the course of this year. So the deadlifts will have a little bit of a kind of a different structure throughout the course of a block than some of the other lifts. I think for the most part, every other lift is going to start and finish kind of with the same rep ranges and kind of same idea overall. But the deadlifts, I'm starting off with multiple top singles, and really a big part of that is just giving myself an opportunity to practice the balance, the requirements, just the intensity, everything that goes into doing these singles. But also a big part of it is to kind of encourage myself to stay a little bit below what I think some of the numbers that I could hit early in this block. So by doing multiple singles at the top end, I'm giving myself opportunities to improve the quality there that I need, but also pace myself a little bit better. So I think that this structure is going to turn out really, really well if I invest early on, kind of the first half of the block of just making everything perfect, singles, rep work, all of that. Then I'm actually, I should provide a really good opportunity to hopefully turn loose later in the block. So that's kind of what we see here. And we'll even see through the 3 singles that I did on this day that they actually got better every rep. So hopefully that will apply to future sessions, and every single will get a little bit better. And by the time I get to only doing one top single, I should be much more prepared for the requirements there and be able to really hit some really big numbers. So here and on squats, I guess really on everything, but I'm really trying to emphasize on my back down work that I'm not trying to really emphasize what the loading is, that I'm really going after what just a quality, and making them as perfect as I can. So I'm really not expecting to hit big numbers on rep work, especially after singles during this block. That's really not what I'm going after, but just making stuff as perfect as I possibly can. So as we're moving into the back half of this session here, I'll talk about the accessories that I'm doing on this day. So not the comp bench that we're looking at right now, but the dumbbell bench press is really the main one. In previous blocks, I was doing some loaded push-ups, but that one mostly it was just about the burden of setting that up a little bit more frequently. But with the push-ups and the dumbbell bench press, I feel like both of these have been exercises that have really helped my pec health. And the big thing is going to be how we'll see how I'm executing them. And it's going to be full protraction at the top, feet up, not trying to really create too stable of a position, because I guess, you know, in this case, I'm not just going after how heavy I can load these, but really I would say how well I can train the pecs. So with a little bit more of that flat back position here and allowing that full shoulder movement, I'm getting a little extra range of motion through my pecs, and I think it's been a huge benefit for their health overall. So If you haven't done these, or if you're having any sort of injury, any sort of discomfort in your upper body, I'm not saying that these will be the cure-all, that it's going to be a perfect solution, but it certainly has helped me reducing the weight a little bit and going through a little bit more range of motion and trying to allow my shoulders and pecs to move a little bit more freely. And it's definitely impacted the quality of my bench press. So final day of the week here, and really there's nothing super exciting that happens here. Pretty comfortable top single with 650 pounds. And really everything that I hit here was kind of in between maybe last warm up and opener range throughout the whole week. So I'm feeling really good about the starting point and just how comfortable and healthy and strong I'm feeling. So anyway, I think the big thing right now that I'm doing, and I think other people maybe heading into competition should do, is think about your most successful blocks and how they probably have not just started off with a ton of fireworks, but you've put yourself in a good position to where whatever variations, just the movement that you're doing, clicks, we allow those things to happen, and then you build into some really big stuff at the end. And so that's the main thing that I'm trying to practice here, is that I've had a fantastic year of training, and I don't feel like at this point that I need to do anything fancy. I'm definitely going to bring the intensity during the back half of this block, but during the front half, just set myself in a position to allow those things to represent themselves. And really this start to the block really could not have been any better. And I'm pretty excited to see what I'll be able to put up here in just over a month, I guess. So anyway, if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll be making all sorts of informative content between now and nationals, and then wrapping things up with a final block review, I guess, a week out, and should be getting ready to hit some pretty good numbers. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.